It's the voice of the one and only DJ Scream, letting you know that you are now in tune to the Casual Flex, where culture meets sports and casuals are welcome. Now here's your host, Phillip Dukes.
Yo, welcome to another edition of the Casual Flex. I am your host, Phillip Dukes, aka Dukes the Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes the Scoop. And please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. All right, guys, it's been a while. Had to take a little time off to handle some things as far as my professional life. As you all know, I work for 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports. I just finished my first year. Much to my surprise, I've already been contacted about extending my contract, which I'm excited about. Hopefully we come to terms sooner than later. But shout out to the people in talent and development at CBS Sports, 24/7 Sports, for identifying that I'm a rock star, baby. No, but seriously, it's really an exciting time. So, and also in my day job, where I'm an operations manager, got some really exciting developments there. So I had to take a little time off to make sure I could devote the full effort and my full attention to matters that needed it. But I'm back. We've had a little time to digest what's going on in the sports world right now. I think there's no bigger story, no better story than Jalen Hurts becoming the highest paid football player ever. Wow. Round of applause for Mr. Jalen Hurts. Job well done. You talk about a guy, one of the better stories, not the, I guess, how do you say it? Not the average, came from the hood, mom, daddy wasn't there, grew up ducking bullets, found my salvation on the football field, and now I'm the highest paid player. Now, it's not that story. It's dad was always there, great kid, stayed out of trouble, made it all the way to the national, got benched in the national championship game, rebounded, went to another school, balled out, got to the NFL, second round pick, now the first rounder. Still a lot of doubts about his game all the way up into last year. And he goes out, has a career season, meshes with the perfect coach for him and the perfect offense for him, and narrowly misses a Super Bowl this year. And rightfully so, he's now it was his turn. And I think when it comes down to the highest paid player, that's kind of overrated because it's basically just your turn, and next year that'll change. Could change this year. But in the meantime, he holds that title. And there was a lot made about his agent, Nicole Lynn, Black female, who setting precedent with setting more and more precedents with every deal she signed. So shout out to the team at Clutch and to Rich Paul for having the foresight of knowing who would be an industry leader in Nicole Lynn. So a shout out to a great story overall. How does this great story, affect the NFL? Well, we can start no further than going to Baltimore and how it affects Lamar Jackson. This deal that Jalen Hurts got not only was a monumental deal for what it represented, but at a deeper level, Jalen Hurts just reset the quarterback market. What the Philadelphia Eagles and what Nicole Lynn and what Clutch Sports and what Jalen Hurts just let the world know is what the market is for a top-tier quarterback. And it's not $250 million guaranteed. Deshaun Watson probably has to be the most blessed man in the world when it comes to rebounding from a situation and coming out smelling like roses. You can make all the jokes you want to. You can have all the posters and banners at his games. The man got $250 million guaranteed after missing tons of games. So that really was not the market, and anybody who sought that type of deal, NFL owners were absolutely against. I mean, the rest of the league is kind of like, they did what? The Browns did what? There is no way you're getting that money from anybody else. And the the Ravens let that be known. Lamar Jackson, is he worth at least what Deshaun Watson is getting? I would think for what he's already accomplished in the league. So, yeah, he's more accomplished than Deshaun Watson. But the way things work, when it's your turn, is Jalen Hurts worth more than Deshaun Watson? Did I say Jackson the first time? If I did, I apologize. Is Jalen Hurts worth more as a quarterback than Deshaun Watson right now? And I would have to say yes, to the average football fan. Doesn't miss a lot of games. He's young, smart. Yeah, I mean, no issues ever. No baggage coming with him. Yeah, so absolutely you would think that Jalen Hurts would be worth more. So with his deal also being the highest paid, but not being the highest paid in terms of guaranteed money, it lets you know where the market is, and that the NFL and ownership was absolutely determined not to let Deshaun Watson set the market, because you do it for quarterbacks, eventually it's coming for other positions. So we're still a ways off from fully guaranteed contracts in the NFL, and the market has now been set for Lamar Jackson. So now you have to wonder what Jackson's negotiation strategy is. What leverage does he have when you take the Deshaun Watson deal off the table and say, okay, well, that's an outlier, that doesn't count? These are deals more in line with what the NFL is actually willing to do. I think if you're Lamar Jackson, $40 million a year guaranteed, 160 over 4 years, that's, maybe in that range of what you would be looking at. Maybe a 5-year deal, 150 guaranteed, maybe 40, 45, 40, somewhere in there a year. I think the $40 million mark is where he has to be. You got to be over $40 million. And I think you got to guarantee a good portion of that. I don't think you can pay Dak Prescott more on a yearly basis than you can Lamar Jackson. He's younger. Yes, the Falcons came out. Falcons do so much crazy stuff. Falcons came out, he gets hurt a lot. Come on, dog. His style of play, that just wasn't it as a whole. But I understood what they were trying to say. The clip that came out was a little worse than what the entirety of the conversation was about, with when Arthur Blank was asked about Lamar Jackson. But the part that got all the media play was saying that Lamar Jackson has a game that is conducive to injuries, and the Falcons couldn't make that type of investment in a guy who plays the game in the manner that he does, that plays the game in a manner that Lamar Jackson does. Where that leaves Jackson is he has to make a deal now based on the deal that Jalen Hurts got. Deshaun Watson, you are, and I'm not saying lucky, because that wasn't none but God. What Deshaun Watson and his team did was nothing but God, to get $250 million guaranteed out of the NFL as a quarterback. And he has some baggage, and he has a little bit of an injury history. Yeah, he did that. And I'm not taking nothing away from Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, that dude, to me, one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. I love the way he airs the ball out. I think he's a smooth guy. I wasn't there with some of that stuff that happened. I can't, I wouldn't condone any type of mistreatment of females or people as a whole. But as a football player, I love his game, and I think that he's going to be really successful in Cleveland. But with all those circumstances being said, the fact that he was still able to get that type of money guaranteed, I do think it was an outlier. I think we could be another 4 to 5 years away. And what's going to have to happen is the athletic dual quarterback, the mobile quarterback, will have to become the norm and not the exception. And now all of these guys can run. And it's going to keep going towards that that manner in which the quarterback is going to be able to run the 4.6, 4.7. The slow quarterbacks will be running 4.7s and 4.8s, right? Previously, the 4.7, 4.8 was kind of, that was pretty fast for a quarterback. But now that ain't really too much of nothing no more, when you got quarterbacks running 4.3s. And you're going to continue to see these freak athletes coming to the NFL. And when the mobile quarterback is more of the rule and not the exception, just like the pocket passer was previously, that's when you'll start to see more teams get into the whole guaranteed money type deal. And when there's more of a revenue share between what the owners make and what they share with the players in the NFL, you'll see that as well. But right now, the contracts aren't guaranteed. They're going to have to figure out a way to fix that because these guys put their bodies on the line. And I just don't know what the answer is. I don't. But in the case of Lamar Jackson, I think the Ravens, by signing Odell Beckham, did something, got a bit of a bargaining chip. Like, hey, we're working on getting you the receiver help that you need. You could see them go and get a receiver in the first round. There are some good receivers out there. I think Quentin Johnson, the TCU, would be a great pick. Or you want to replace the Hollywood Brown type flavor. Get Zay Flowers, who reminds me a lot of like a Brandon Cooks type guy, but with way more shiftiness. I think those things probably would bode well for the Ravens when trying to get Lamar Jackson to come back. But we'll see. And one thing about it, the draft is around the corner. So after you get through the draft, then there's a lot of things that could take place that could affect a lot of situations across the NFL. One thing I'll be looking at in the draft is who should the Falcons pick? Should the Falcons go after, say, an edge rusher? You've got the kid from Texas Tech, the DN, Wilson. I think Tyree Wilson is his name, I believe. If I'm mistaken, please correct me in the comments. But the kid Wilson from Texas Tech, you got Luca Van Ness out of Iowa. You got a lot of people are saying Bijan Robinson, the dynamic running back out of Texas, should be the pick. I don't think Christian Gonzalez is the pick anymore after the Falcons make a very, very savvy trade and going to get Jeff Okudah on pennies of the dollar on pennies on the dollar for what he was worth years ago. And he had a pretty good season last year. I think the Falcons got a steal when they made that trade. So shout out to Big Terry. But I think cornerback is off the board for the Falcons. So where do you go? If I'm the Falcons, if Jalen Carter is there, you got to get Jalen Carter. And let me give a little bit of a shout out to the Falcons right now. So the Falcons, even though they've been making some moves and they've done things that I think will help them, probably just went and got the deepest team we've seen on the Falcons since 2016 before you even get to the draft. But the way they handled the Jalen Carter situation about letting that get out about we wouldn't draft him, and then now, because I always thought that was just weird even for draft posturing. But the Falcons about face, and now they actually hosted Carter on the interview. So what that says to me is that the Falcons are able to admit mistakes. And I think that's super important for a team that has always been willing to double down when things have been obviously in need of a change. So by making this quick about face on the Jalen Carter situation, where I think that if Jalen Carter was there at 8, I think the Falcons would make a move on him. And it's going to be really interesting to see who the Falcons do select. Do they trade down and get a receiver? They could definitely use a solid number 2 with some number 1 potential. Made with a Drake London. Maybe you want co-number 1, somebody who's a little more shifty on the other side, somebody a little faster, better route runner who can get over the top. Maybe that's the guy you want. But the Falcons have options. And I think that's something that the Falcons haven't had in a while, which was you're not dependent on this first round pick to come in and be the guy right now unless you go Bijan Robinson, because everybody else, you have players that can get you by. And with the right quarterback, the Falcons could be a playoff team easily. I think last year you get 3 wins out of a certain player. If you have a, let's say, top 14 to 12-ish quarterback, I think the Falcons in that division are a playoff team easily. So with that being said, with the upgrades that the Falcons have made, I think that is a really, really good opportunity for the Falcons to make the right pick. And I don't want to be too vague and I don't want to be cliche, but I think the Falcons can really take their time this time. And but let me backtrack. The Falcons don't care who you think they should get. They're going to get the best value at the pick. No, excuse me, not the best value. They're going to get who they think is the best talent. For example, Kyle Pitts going as high as he did at tight end. He right now is probably, he could, depending on who you ask, let's take Travis Kelce out of it, he could be the most he probably is the most athletically gifted tight end in the NFL. But it hasn't transitioned as much because one, quarterback play, and two, had a little bit of some injury issues, but we'll see this year. Drake London last year, there were other needs that the Falcons had, but he was a sure thing at wide receiver. The Falcons thought at that talent level, you got to get him at 8. This year, you're right back in the same draft position, and I think you got to get the best player available, the most talented. I'm okay with the Falcons drafting Bijan Robinson. Why? He's a guy that you never have to take off the field. I do think he's a talent upgrade over Tyler Algier, even though I really like what Algier did. But I would much rather Algier being a compliment than being the guy in a perfect world. Not to say he can't do the job. He gets those yards that you have to get, the fundamental yards. He does everything the right way. A fundamentally sound running back, he gets you tough yards, but you're never worried about him really breaking one. With Bijan Robinson, you always have to worry about him taking it to the house. He doesn't tip you off when he's in the game. What I mean by that is the Falcons have certain packages where if you see Cordero Patterson in a certain alignment, you know he's going to get the ball in some type of capacity. You know on third down when we see this back end that if it's 3rd and 4 and we got the pass catching back end, we're probably going to throw the ball, right? With Bijan Robinson, you can run a draw. You can run power. You can run something. You can run or pass. He leaves you that option because you can't. He does so many things well that he doesn't tip you off as to what you're planning for or what you're planning on doing with the next play. So with Robinson, he's also somebody, like I said, he could take it to the crib. Sometimes you need to just block a play well and get a 60 to 70-yard touchdown. I mean, those are the type of touchdowns that help you win because those are touchdowns that haven't been accounted for. You know, when somebody has a good drive down the field and you kind of know, like, you know what, this is a great drive, they're probably going to score. Or when you got a shifty receiver or you got that game-breaking type guy, you know, all right, he's probably going to get his. You don't have that at running back, and with a predominantly running offense, you need that guy who's that threat. I think Robinson could be that guy. So for my Falcons pick, I think I would have to go with Bijan Robinson. As the draft nears, probably next week, with me being such a big Falcons fan, I'll go through my mock draft. I'll go 7 rounds on who I think the Falcons should draft. And yeah, for sure. I think it'll be a fun exercise to go through. All right. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks and the Boston Celtics. The Atlanta Hawks are not ready for the Celtics. A multitude of reasons why. One, the Hawks are the Hawks. This year's version of the Hawks are a 41-41 team. Period. All right? You are who your record says you are. We've seen instances where they can get it going in a season and come up and look better than they looked all season, but this is probably who the Hawks are. I think they played out of their minds in Miami, but that's a 1-4 type game, not an every night type effort. And I think even if that series goes longer, I don't think the Hawks play that well through a 7-game series with the Heat. I thought they caught the Heat on the perfect night, and they played us the perfect time, and they played the Heat the way they had to play them. What I did like about what the Hawks did against the Heat was when they had a lead. I was actually out the last game in Miami, and they came the last regular season game they played in Miami in March. I was down there. I was at the game. The game wasn't even packed. Not like the home crowd was going super AWOL on you or whatever. But the Hawks got punched in the mouth after they came out, and they gave the Heat their best shot coming out. The Hawks got punched in the mouth and did not respond. The Hawks also did not take the ball out of Trae Young's hand when the Heat were trapping with when they used their big guard line up the trap. They didn't take the ball out of Trae Young's hands, which is something they did in the playoffs, and they came out with a victory. When it comes to the Celtics aren't even like just a supremely big man type. We're just going to out-muscle you and we're too tall. No, Al Horford is 6. I mean, the older he gets, it looks like he shrinks a little. He might be 6'9.5" now. You got Jason Tatum, who is probably a lot of people's MVP. But my problem with the Hawks is you cannot have Jason Tatum out-rebound John Collins and Clint Capella. He's your 3 guy. Now, to his credit, DeAndre Hunter did get a lot of rebounds. But when it comes down to Jason Tatum versus John Collins, we know Tatum is going to have more points, but Collins needs more blocks and rebounds. Not even blocks. He needs more rebounds than Tatum. When Tatum at a 3 has a better defensive game than our power forward does, that's an issue. Clint Capella, 7 rebounds, that's an issue. The Hawks have to be able to get something of a threat from their front court. And there's going to be a problem in the East when you've got so many teams that can give you problems in the front court. The fact that the Celtics aren't even pounding them down low with bigger men, what they're doing is they're just they hooping. they're really just playing good basketball. They're moving without the ball. When they go 1-on-1, they're getting quality shots. They're waltzing to the hole. The layup packages are in full effect. And I love how scrappy and determined DeJounte Murray is. I really do. I don't think he gets flustered. You can see some of that tough Seattle basketball upbringing in him. And it leads me to wonder, let's say the Hawks said, you know what, we're going to blow this team up so we can try to get better. Would you rather have DeJounte Murray as your point guard and use Trae Young to get more assets? Or would you rather have Trae Young as your point guard and use DeJounte Murray to get more assets? If the Hawks were to pull a move off, one move that I think that will work, because I think Trae Young is a certified star. He gets you buckets, assists, top 5 in both or close to it. Always going to be top 10. A legitimate 27-10 type guy, which they don't have a lot of. Number 2 in the league in assists per game. Last year, nobody had more points and assists than him. I mean, you can just go on and on and on and on and on. But what if you were able to trade, let's say, Trae Young for a more prototypical sized 2 guard? Would you go Trae Young for Zach LaVine? Or maybe would you do a Trae Young, John Collins for a Zach LaVine, Vucevic deal? You bring in a 6'10" guy who can shoot it, maybe 6'11". Put him next to Capella in some lineups because you know he can shoot the ball and he can help you rebound. Bring in a more prototypical 2 who can shoot the lights out, who can get hot and give you 50 in LaVine. and who can also be paired with a bigger point guard in DeJounte Murray, a tough guy. And what that allows is Trae Young to go to Chicago and go crazy, go absolutely nuts. Green light, willing, shoot it. You can do what you want to do. Let Collins go with him. Catch every lob he wants to catch. Get his money, right? I mean, those are the type of trades that you would think about that the Hawks would have to consider in order to get better. Like, you got to trade something to get something for the sake of the Hawks. This iteration of the Hawks just ain't it. It's not a championship level team in the East. I would feel bad for saying that if they didn't end up 41-41 and have to be in the play-in tournament. Maybe Quinn Snyder can get them there, but I think that the Hawks have moves coming, and in order for them to continue to pack out the arena the way they are or the way they have been, you got to make a move. I would love for the Hawks to be able to just hit on a guy in the draft at number 15 overall and don't even worry about it. But that remains that hasn't happened yet. And who actually won? Now we can talk about it. Who actually won the Dallas Mavericks and Atlanta Hawks trade Trae Young for Luka Doncic? Cam Reddish is long gone, so you have to take that out of the equation. And people say that, oh, well, Luka is they won because Luka is a better player. Look at the stats and look at all of that. And I say, I don't know, man. I think that trade was about as even as can be. Just two different styles of player. One's bigger. That's it. One's quicker, one's bigger. That's it. Luka has won the same amount that Trae Young has won. Luka probably has a little bit more of individual. He has a little more individual awards, but Trae Young get an automatic win for playing in Atlanta and not getting ran out of town. Period. It's hard for folks to really love you in Atlanta. I don't care how good you are. And Atlanta, he won Atlanta over. Trae, they love Trae in the A. He came in, Smigos off the whim, ice Trae the game. He was the perfect fit for the Hawks. He was. He really was. So for the culture of Atlanta, I don't think you could find a better player. I mean, now, the best player to play in Atlanta who I wish we could get, Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man would go crazy. Anthony Edwards would go crazy in Atlanta. If you want to know who I think the savior of the Hawks is, it's probably Ant-Man. I mean, maybe like the Phoenix that the representation of the Phoenix in Atlanta comes and it burns through the 4PF. I mean, little baby running the city, 4PF running the city. Shout out to Steph, my boy Steph Brown, 4PF Athletics. You bring in another kid from Oakland City and Anthony Edwards, super good in College Park. Somebody at the hood would get behind. You'll see more people than you've ever seen at a Hawks game because you're going to go off, get that extra bit of juice from playing at the crib and playing at the crib in his youth. Like, we always see players come back to the city when they washed up, but yeah, having somebody from Atlanta like that, the closest thing that we got is Michael Harris with the Braves. Now, he's going to have, but I don't think as long as Acuna is on that team, it'll ever be his team. So to have a guy from Atlanta be the guy on the team, I think if we were to fix the Hawks, I think you would have to go with Anthony Edwards to be the number one dream scenario for an Atlanta Hawks team. But outside of that, I think the Hawks are going to do something. I don't know how they're going to do it. Hopefully you can keep that backcourt together, because if it wasn't for that backcourt, the Hawks probably would have lost by 40 or 50 tonight, for real. They really keep you in a lot of games, even though they may be undersized as a duo. The fight and the just dogged nature that they do have, I think. If you can get some more pieces in the front court, I just don't know how you get that type of capital when you traded 3 first-round picks to get Murray. So we'll see. But at least we aren't the Timberwolves, who traded even more to get my boy Rudy Gobert, and seemed like don't nobody even like him. So, yeah, the Hawks could have done a lot worse. But look, y'all, that's my time. It's just a little slow week right now, but I'm glad to get back into the swing of things. I'm glad to be able to come back and report some good news in my life. And I will be at the fight this weekend. So, drop in the comments who you think will win, Ryan Garcia or Tank Davis. I might go into that a little bit more this week. All right, y'all. P. Dukes, Phillip Dukes for the Casual Flex, a.k.a. Dukes D. Scoop. I am out.